All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for waiting. We had a technical difficulty there, but I'm glad it didn't take too long. So, good morning. Welcome. We are going to be learning all about marine mammals this morning. Now, my name is Allie. I'm an educator here at the Aquarium of the Pacific here in Long Beach, California. And again, we're going to be doing an Ask a Scientist class, which means that we are really going to be basing most of our class off of your questions. So we do love questions. We love comments. So if you would like to, you can text us in this number right here, 562-286-1838. Go ahead and write that down, but we will put it up periodically. And my friend Jen is over at the computer ready to have all of your questions, all of your comments. And my friend Erin is behind the computer here controlling these really cool images you have behind you. Now, if we do have any classes joining us, awesome, welcome. If you could do me a favor, teachers, and text this number right below here, the number of students you have. That way we can gather a little bit of data to further help us with our programs that we give to the public here. If you do have questions after our program, that's okay, but we're not going to have you text us. Instead, go ahead and email us. And that's this email right down here, live@lbaop.org. Alrighty, everyone. So let's go ahead and get started. We put up this awesome webcam behind us. This is actually live outside right now. Now, this is our Shark Lagoon webcam. I actually don't see any sharks. Of course, oh, I see one in the corner here. Oh, there's one. Perfect. So this is our Shark Lagoon webcam, but we're going to be talking about fish today. We're going to be thinking about mammals. So let's go ahead and start brainstorming. How are mammals different from, say, fish? What makes a mammal a mammal? What do we have in common with other mammals, like maybe your dog or your cat that you might have at home? What do we have in common? Well, let's go ahead and start off with one that you can see pretty easily right here. Are these fish, are they coming up for air? Do you see them going to the surface and taking a deep breath? No. So they breathe air. Mammals breathe air. So everyone take a deep breath with me. And let it go. Yes, we are mammals. We have lungs. Whereas like fish, they have gills. That helps them to breathe in the water and take that oxygen out. Well, we have lungs, so we breathe in the air and take our oxygen out. Now, really easy for a cat or a dog who lives on land, right? But what about an animal like a dolphin? So a marine mammal is a mammal who lives in the water. So they're going to have some different adaptations, some different body parts or strategies to help them survive. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Another thing that makes a mammal is warm blood. Now you can't really see that too well. Let's go ahead and throw up a picture of maybe a mammal. Can't see it too well, right? This is one of my favorite animals. Thank you, Miss Erin. This is an elephant seal. Can you tell why it's called an elephant seal? Yeah, it's giant nose. Exactly. This is a male elephant seal. And they have, again, warm blood. So if you touch your forehead, you should be a little warm, right? You shouldn't be freezing cold. So we do have warm blood to keep our body temperature nice and pretty consistent. It's not going woo all over the place. So some animals like these elephant seals, well, they live in the water where it's a little more cold. They want to keep that nice warm temperature. So what do you see on here? Oh, I see a nice layer of fat. That's a cool adaptation that a lot of marine mammals have. They have that layer of fat, also called blubber, to help them stay warm. Not all marine mammals, but most. All right, so far, breathing air, warm blood. Anything else you can think of that makes a mammal a mammal? Oh, we had someone text in hair. Yes, everyone touch your head. Yes, you have hair. Even if you don't have hair on your head, even if you are bald, you still have hair somewhere. You have eyebrows and you had hair at one point in your life. Yes, you got it. Marine mammals, they do have hair. Now, this one behind me, this is a sea otter. I know. Oh, so cute. They have the thickest fur out of any animal on the planet. It is so, so thick that there's about 1 million hairs per square inch, which is about the size of a quarter. So imagine 1 million hairs packed into the size of a quarter. That's really thick. They can be fully underwater and they don't get wet. So their hair is really easy to see. Less sea lions and that elephant seal, their hair we can kind of see, kind of like a dog. Okay, now let's think about a dolphin. We know dolphins are mammals. Do you see hair on this animal? Do they have nice long braids coming down from their head? No, but they do have hair at one point in their life. Does anyone want to take a guess when and where they have it? Well, it's actually around this area right here. It kind of looks like a mustache. And you can't quite see it. I've only seen it in really close-up pictures of extreme babies, really newborns, because it falls out pretty quickly. But they have little hairs all over here. And that helps them when they go to their mom and they say, "Mom, I'm hungry." And they use those hairs to tickle underneath her belly so they can eat. Which brings us to another characteristic. They drink milk. Yes, exactly. They drink milk. So when you were little, you didn't come out and start eating cheeseburgers or carrots. No, we didn't do that. We drink milk. So do all mammals, just like our dolphins we have here. And our last characteristic is that they have live birth. They don't lay eggs. When you were born, did your mom lay an egg and sit on you for a while? I don't think so. They come out pretty much just like mini versions of their parents. Oh, live babies. Someone just texted that in. Yes, you got it. Exactly. So those 5 characteristics that all mammals have in common are that, and here's the baby that we have here. This is a baby seal here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. This is Kaya, and she was born about 2 years ago. So she's still, we consider her a baby, but she's about 2 years old. She's like a toddler. All right, so our 5 characteristics, again, we have live birth, milk, that they drink milk when they're babies, hair at some point in their life, warm blood, and they breathe air. Now, of course, in science, there's always exceptions. We're not going to go into those today, but all of those marine mammals and terrestrial or land mammals, we have those in common with them. Now, it looks like a few questions are coming in. Oh, good question. How do sea mammals or marine mammals survive in salty water? That's a really great question. Have you ever been to the beach and you got salt water in your mouth and you're like, kind of tastes a little gross? Yeah, definitely not recommended to drink salt water because it actually can dehydrate you more than if you didn't drink water. But marine mammals, they don't really drink that much seawater, believe it or not. So they get most of their water from their food. So they're not going around just drinking the seawater that they're swimming in, but they're eating food that has a lot of water in it. Because a lot of fish and other things they might be eating have ways to extract that kind of salt out of their body and expel that salt. So they're left with a lot of just water. And that's what a lot of our marine mammals eat. Also, their technique of eating, again, we'll talk about this a little more in detail, hopefully if we have time. But some animals, like this humpback whale right here, well, they take huge gulps of food all at once. They take thousands of gallons of water into their mouth at one time. And it might look like, ooh, well, they're going to swallow all of that. They're not going to swallow all the water. They actually have a filter in their mouth called baleen. Oh, I have some right here. Now this baleen, so this is from a humpback whale actually. So same one right behind here. It kind of feels like uncooked spaghetti. It's kind of like little hairs. And it comes down from the roof of their mouth. So when they take all that water in, it close their mouth and go and push it through this structure here. So that water is going on out, whereas the food is trapped behind. So they're not really drinking all that water. That's a really good question. But sometimes under human care, we can give our animals, our marine mammals, a little bit of extra water. We can give them ice. Sometimes they like to chew on ice. Here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, we do give our marine mammals Jell-O. I know. Jell-O. It's not cherry flavored or anything like that. No, it's unflavored Jell-O, but it helps just give a little more water to their diet. So that's a really good question. How many pounds of food do dolphins eat is another question coming on in. That really depends on the dolphin. Truthfully, some dolphins, like these dolphins, they're a little bit smaller. They'll only get to a few hundred pounds, whereas some dolphins like orcas, did you know orcas are considered a dolphin? Yeah, toothed whales. They can get to, oh, here we go right here. They can get to thousands of pounds. So it really does depend. My best guess is maybe around 7% of their body weight. That's my best guess. Does anyone else have a best guess? 7%? Around, probably around there. So they do eat quite a bit. Yes, they can eat lots and lots of food every single day. Good question. But again, depends on the individual. Oh, hi, William. William has a question coming in. How do you know the correct buoyancy, but not ending up sinking because you can't get back up? Okay, so how do you maybe dive underwater and be able to come back up again? Is that maybe what you're thinking, William? Well, that's a good question. So we actually, I kind of think of it like us. When we go down, we naturally kind of go back up a little bit because we do have lungs, we do have air inside of us. So when we go down and dive, there's still air, and air tends to want to go up in water, right? But whales and dolphins, marine mammals in general, they also have another really good way of moving. They have fins and flippers. So they have really great muscles that help them to be able to push themselves through the water pretty efficiently. So this is the fluke of a whale. Now, fluke is also just a fancy name for the tail. So the tail of a whale is actually very unique. So if you look at your hands, all of us have our own unique fingerprints. Well, their tails, believe it or not, are fingerprints for them. So yes, fluke prints of just like this. You can see with all the different markings and different shapes and different colors. Yes, it's kind of like a human fingerprint for our whales. So they have this that goes up and down to help them to move forward through the water. And then they have their pectoral flippers. Their pectoral flippers are those ones that kind of look like airplane wings. Thank you, Miss Erin. Perfect. These ones right down here. Now, humpback whales, this whale you have here, has really big pectoral flippers. I think the largest for the body ratio. They have large, beautiful flippers, and those help them to steer. And on top, this doesn't have quite a big dorsal fin, but this little dorsal fin on top, that helps them to kind of stay balanced in the water column. So you can kind of see a little more on an animal like a dolphin. That it really helps them to kind of balance in the water instead of kind of spinning all over the place when they're really going at high speeds. Great question. Ooh, another question. Why does Kaya have that pattern on her? If you missed it, Kaya was the name of that baby seal that we just looked at. So let's go ahead and pull her up again. Why does she have that pattern on her? Well, that's a great question. While we're pulling that up, I want you to think, well, why might she have that kind of spotted coloration? How could that help her? Well, she is a harbor seal. She is a Pacific harbor seal, and they actually frequently have kind of this spotted coloration. Now, Kaya is very young in this picture, so her coloring's a little, I'd say more brown than it is black, But you can see here's mom. This is a different pup from mom. But you can see here's mom. She's kind of black and white, kind of cookies and cream coloration. Why would they want that? Well, I mentioned that they hang out in the harbor, and they love to hang out on rocks. And I have been in boats where you're going down and you're going out to sea. There's rocks all around you. Sometimes I don't even notice that there's seals on the rocks because they're so good at blending in. So that's one way that they can help themselves survive, is just by that really awesome camouflage. Great question. Oh, good. Another one coming on in. Do all sea mammals stay with babies until they are grown up? Good question. No. So not necessarily like us. We need a lot of help, right? We usually live at home for quite a long time before we venture off on our own. Seals, like these right here, well, mom only stays with baby for about a month. Maybe 6 weeks, maybe a month and a half, maybe. But they only stay together for not very long. She nurses, again, she gives milk to the baby, and after about a month, she says, all right, you're big enough, you got to go start eating food on your own. And the baby swims off. Whereas sea lions, they'll stay with their mom quite a bit longer, maybe 8. Here's a sea lion here. Maybe up until maybe around a year, maybe a little less. And some dolphins will stay with their parents a lot longer than that. I have seen a dolphin who stayed with its parents for about 4 years. So it does depend, again, on the marine mammal, but not necessarily. They're not necessarily like us in that way, because seals, they say bye-bye to their parents after about 1 month. Great question. What kind of foods do mammals eat? Oh, that's another really great question here. Well, let's think about it. Well, let's think specifically, not about all mammals, but let's think about marine mammals. While they're going in the water, what might they be eating? Are they going to be catching chicken? Probably not, right? Not many chickens in the ocean. Fish. Yeah, they eat fish. They'll also eat squid. Some sea lions have also been seen eating octopus. So they'll eat a variety of foods, usually small, kind of schooling fish. Now, sea lions, they don't really chew their food too much. They pretty much swallow it on down whole. However, they can kind of rip off pieces. And that's very similar for dolphins as well. They kind of just swallow that fish on whole. So they're going to go after fairly smaller fish. So it does depend. However, otters, they don't have that energy to go after really fast moving animals like fish, because they are spending so much energy already trying to keep themselves warm because they live in freezing water. And I mentioned that a lot of marine mammals have blubber. This is the exception. So I always told you there's an exception in science, right? Well, this is the exception for that blubber rule. Sea otters do not have blubber, so they're constantly eating and creating heat to keep them warm. So they don't have that extra energy to kind of chase after something really fast. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to take a breath. They're going to go down to the bottom of the ocean, and they're going to pick up slow-moving animals like this one. You can see this one's eating a crab. They also love sea urchins, snails, clams, shrimp. So it does depend on the animal. Oh, we have lots of questions coming in. I love the participation. I will get to as many of them as possible, but it might take us a little bit after our class to get back to you, but we will definitely try to. Another food that a lot of animals eat, that baleen whales especially eat, like our humpback whale we've been looking at today, they eat tiny animals called krill. Now, krill kind of look like little baby shrimp. I actually have some here on I'm going to show you on the document camera. So I'm going to turn on this document camera over here. Because they're so little, I definitely need a way to show you a little closer up. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I'm going to turn on that light here. All right, let's zoom in. Whoop. All right, here are some krill. Now, these are preserved in here. But whales, like the big whales with the baleen, the largest whale on the planet, the blue whale, they eat this. Now, they eat thousands of pounds of food a day, but look how small these are. They're smaller than my finger that you can see right here. So they eat tiny, tiny little animals called krill. So again, does depend on the animal. Awesome. Let's go move on to another question. I know we have tons coming in. Oh, Mrs. Nicolosi's class. Hi. Thanks for joining us again. Nice to see everyone. Who cleans the baby animals, the mom or someone at the aquarium? Good question. We don't really, again, it depends on the animal, right? But for our marine mammals, we don't really clean them. They take care of a lot of that themselves. Now, when they're a little bit older, we will help them with, let's say, dental care. We will help them brush their teeth and things like that, things that they might not do out in the ocean. But they take pretty good care of themselves on their own. It's a great question. Oh, Raina's asking, do orcas eat sharks? Yes, they have been seen to eat sharks. They've even been seen to eat really big sharks, like white sharks. Yes, they have been seen to eat pretty large sharks. This is a type of whale that has teeth. And they do have a kind of a wide variety of diet. It depends on the population of orca. So some eat sharks and stingrays. Some might only eat marine mammals. Some actually like to eat smaller fish like salmon. So it really does depend. Great question, Raina. Oh, let's see. Ooh, why do seals hang out on rocks? Ooh, that's a really good question. So a lot of times we see seals on rocks, and they are kind of doing this. Whoop! It kind of looks like a U or like a banana shape. So if you see that, thank you, Erin. Perfect. Do you see the banana? Kind of whoop. Yeah, this is banana shape. So a lot of time they are kind of soaking up the sun. They are thermal regulating, which means they're kind of warming themselves up because that water, again, is pretty chilly. So they will spend a lot of time on the rocks. It's also, they don't have to spend energy, right? Having to swim. So saves energy. Also, they could just kind of lay down and not think about breathing, right? Because they can breathe on land all they want, whereas if they were swimming and in the water, they would have to think about coming up for those breaths. So that's a good question. Plus, look how good they blend in. I know, pretty remarkable. And sometimes I miss them. All right. Ooh, why do seals have whiskers? And that's from Isabel. That's a great question, Isabel. You can kind of see the whiskers on this seal here. Oh, this is a good one. This is one of our seals. This is Shelby. And she has these very long whiskers. You can't see it here, but she also has really long eyebrows. She has very, very long eyebrows. And these are called something special. They are called vibrissae. Can you say that with me? Vibrissae. So they actually are used in the water to sense vibrations. Ooh, so they're there to kind of sense movement. Maybe if the water is a little murky. Maybe if their eyesight isn't so good. Sometimes that happens with marine mammals, just like it does with people. So they use these to help them find food, to help them kind of know where they are. They actually use them on land as well. They can kind of contract and relax them. So they use them to kind of feel around. It's like an extra sense. Let's see. Lev is asking, well, what about the platypus? It's a mammal and it lays eggs. It's a really good question. In the beginning, remember? So there's always exceptions in science. There are two exceptions for the mammal rule that lay eggs. I know. It's a little confusing, but we're not really going to get into that today because we just don't have time. But I encourage you to think about, well, why might they want to lay eggs? How are they classified as a mammal if they don't have live birth? So we don't have time for that today, but that's a really great question. In science, there's always exceptions. All right. Looks like I'm going to go over just a couple of minutes since we started a few minutes late, and we have several more questions. Okay. Kiara is asking, why is there a spout on a dolphin? Oh, or a whale in general. Did you know that dolphins are whales? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this whale here, I believe this is a blue whale. This whale is huge, much larger than a dolphin. This one gets to around 100 feet. And you can see their blowholes. It's a little kind of bump right there. Now, big whales like baleen whales and this blue whale here, they have 2 blowholes, whereas dolphins, smaller toothed whales, have 1. But they all do the same thing. It's kind of like putting your nose on your head. So if you were swimming and you wouldn't have to put your whole head out of the water, take a deep breath and go back down. You could just slowly come to the water, breathe, exhale, and go back down. So it's a lot more efficient. Now, why do they have this spout? Well, a lot of times we think, oh, well, there's water shooting out of their blowhole. That's all the water that gets in them that they don't want. Well, not exactly. Because if this water were to be in their lungs, that wouldn't be good, right? Think about if water got in our lungs. It wouldn't be very good. So what's happening in this picture, and pictures that we see pretty frequently, is the whale is coming to the surface, and there's a little bit of water sitting on top of that blowhole, and their exhale, when they push out the air, it is so powerful that it goes and it mists all of this water that's kind of sitting around it. So it's not really water coming out of the whale, but it's a little bit of water that kind of just sits on top of that blowhole that gets powerfully pushed up in the air. Sometimes for big whales like this, they can be pushed up like 20 feet. Pretty crazy. Oh, let's see. Oh, Chloe is asking, if a mom gives birth to a sea lion and after she lets them go, right, be on their own, can she give birth again? She can, yes. Similar to people in the way that it's typical for them to have one pup at a time. Pup is a name for a baby seal or sea lion, not a puppy. Well, a puppy too. But they do have one baby typically at a time. And then after they, raise their baby, they are able to have another one. So it's a really good question. I'm going to answer one more question before we head on out here. Why are orcas dark on top and light on the bottom? Wow, I love that you noticed this. You'll actually, now that we're bringing it up, I encourage you to look at lots of sea animals and you'll notice it a lot. Like penguins, a lot of sharks. You'll see it all over the place. That animals have a darker back, maybe not black, but darker, and a lighter belly. Now, this is a form of camouflage. It is something called counter shading. So if I was an orca and I was swimming in the water and something was on top of me and looking down, well, let's picture it. Let's pretend that we're looking down on an orca. Well, that black back, that's going to blend in with the bottom of the ocean, right? The nice depths of the ocean. Whereas, okay, let's pretend that we're underneath an orca and we're looking up. Well, that light belly is going to blend in with the sunlight or moonlight coming in from above. So it's a form of camouflage to help animals that don't really have places to hide. So you'll usually see this on animals that spend a lot of time out in the open sea, and not as much in animals that say live in the coral reef or in tide pools or anything like that. Great questions, everyone. I know we couldn't get to all of them, but I love how participatory everyone is. I encourage you to keep thinking about marine mammals today. We have another class coming up after this. We have kelp forests and conservation. Kelp forests are so cool, so I definitely recommend it. If not, on Monday at 9 a.m., we have a very fun class. We have crafty critters. So that's definitely one of my favorite ones as well. But have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, teachers, if you you have not already, please do text in your numbers of how many students you have in your class. That way we can better support our community just gathering that data. And we'll do our best to get back to all of your questions here just after our program. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day.